So welcome everybody to the last talk by Gayatriprana, at least for this visit to Adelaide. The program, we will have some devotional songs by Anjan Bise. That'll be followed by the talk by Gayatriprana on inner stability. That'll be followed by that'll be followed by afternoon tea. Then after afternoon tea, we'll have time for question, answers, discussion, and then we'll conclude with a guided meditation. And we're recording this on Zoom. It's going live on Zoom, and we will be putting it up on our Vedanta Society of New South Wales YouTube channel afterwards. So if you'd like to revisit this session, you can, or let friends know about it, share it with friends. That would be nice. The society here, the Ramakrishna Sharada Vedanta Society of South Australia, they have fortnightly discussions. They're very kindly hosted by Nermalla David Koo here in their home. And you can ask Nermalla about that afterwards. If you haven't already attended any, you're always most welcome. And if you'd like to be kept informed about upcoming visits by the nuns, then Nermalla can put you on the mailing list or email list. And we do like to bring nuns from India as well as Gayatriprana and her sister nuns based in Sydney. In addition, we like to bring out some special guest nuns from India from time to time for a lecture tour. So without delay, I think we'll now request Anjan to share some nice devotional songs.
Namaste stu Mahamaye Shri Pate Sur Pujite Shankha Chakra Gada Haste Mahalakshmi Namostute Namaste Garudante Kola Surbhaya Hari Sarva Papa Hare Devi Mahalakshmi Namostute सर्वज्ञे सर्ववरदे सर्वदुष्ट भयंकरी सर्वदुःख हरे देवी महालक्ष्मी नमोस्तुते बुद्धि प्रदे देवी मुक्ति मुक्ति प्रदायिनी मंत्रमूर्ते सदा देवी महालक्ष्मी नमोस्तुते Namaste Su Mahamaye Shri Pate Sur Pujite Shankha Chakra Gada Haste Mahalakshmi Namostute Adya Antarahite Devi Adya Shakti Maheshwari Yoga De Yoga Sampute Mahalakshmi Namostute Surya Sukshma Maharodre Mahashakti Mahodare Mahapapa Hare Devi Mahalakshmi Namostute Namaste Stu Mahamaye Shri Pate Sur Pujite Shankha Chakra Gada Haste Mahalakshmi Namostute Padmasana Sthite Devi Parabrahma Swarupini Parameshri Jaganmatre Mahalakshmi Namostute Shvetambara Dhare Devi Kanalankar Bhushite Jagatsmite Jaganmata Mahalakshmi Namostute Namaste Stu Mahamaye Shri Pate Sur Pujite Shankha Chakra Gada Haste Mahalakshmi Namostute Mahalakshmi Namostute अति पावन तुम्हारो नाम सीताराम, अति पावन तिहारो नाम सीताराम, मन भावन तिहारो नाम सीताराम, मन भावन तिहारो नाम सीताराम, मन भावन तिहारो नाम सीताराम, अति पावन तिहारो नाम सीताराम, अति पावन तिहारो नाम सीताराम। भक्तों को सुख देने वाले जय जय सीताराम, भक्तों को सुख देने वाले जय जय सीताराम, दुख जन जन के हरने वाले जय जय सीताराम, नित कारण तिहारो नाम सीताराम, नित कारण तिहारो नाम सीताराम, अति पावन तिहारो नाम सीताराम, अति पावन तिहारो नाम सीताराम, मन भावन तिहारो नाम सीताराम, मोहे हर पल अति प्रिय लागे जय जय सीताराम, मोहे हर पल अति प्रिय लागे जय जय सीताराम, दिन के सुमिरन से दुख भागे जय जय सीताराम, मन धारण तिहारो नाम सीताराम, भव तारण तिहारो नाम सीताराम, अति पावन तिहारो नाम सीताराम, अति पावन तिहारो नाम सीताराम, मन भावन तिहारो नाम सीताराम। युगल छवि है सुख करकारी जय जय सीताराम, युगल छवि है सुखकारी जय जय सीताराम, सुंदर सुखद मनोहर प्यारी जय जय सीताराम, सुख सावन है तिहारो नाम सीताराम, सुख सावन है तिहारो नाम सीताराम, मन भावन तिहारो नाम सीताराम, मन भावन तिहारो नाम सीताराम, अति पावन तिहारो नाम सीताराम, अति पावन तिहारो नाम सीताराम।
There are 3 chairs here. Asato ma sadgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityorma amritam gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Lead me from the unreal to the real. Lead me from darkness to light. Lead me from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. So today we are dealing with the topic inner stability. Last 2 days we dealt with suffering, contentment. Now we are coming to inner stability. Now in the modern age, the pace of progress is so fast that we have made more progress in the last 50 years than what had happened in the last more than 200 years. And now every day it's going faster and faster. Newer things are being discovered, inventions are being made, more and more energy efficient gadgets are created. People are becoming more aware of what's happening in the world. And all these are giving us more and more leisure and making our life better or easier. But along with all this, we find a rise in the cases of addiction to alcohol, drugs, broken families, stress, mental illness is on the high rise. So the reason is, in spite of all this progress in the external world, we haven't not been able to get control over our inner world. There's a never-ending conflict in our inner world. We know very little about what's happening within us. We think we are in full control of everything, but we don't know what's happening in our mind. And what we know in the conscious mind, if we are aware of it, become aware of it, it's only the tip of the iceberg. It's a lot of things going on deep down in our subconscious mind. We are not aware of it at all. So all that creating problems in our inner world. So we are constantly, continuously, we have to make adjustments with ourselves and the world outside. And when we fail to make these adjustments, we lose our poise, our stability, we get upset. And according to this famous psychiatrist Menninger, he says, our failures are expressed in one of the two types of reactions: flight or attack. If our failures are expressed in one of the two types of reactions, flight or attack. About the flight reaction, he says, how people run away from reality by avoiding responsibilities or troubles, trying to forget things, getting drunk, getting drugs, all this, trying to fly away from the reality or problems. Or even there is self-induced sickness, illnesses. Many times a person is in the hospital with some sort of illness, but really it is trying to move away from the reality of problems, instead of afraid to face the problem, is flight reaction. And that is about the fight reaction, he says. The fight reaction, if properly directed, may bring readjustment, resulting in more or less complete poise. The fight reaction, if you are able to fight with our inner world, if properly directed, may bring about proper readjustment, resulting in more or less complete poise. Through right kind of fighting spirit, learning to fight the enemies within, we may attain a measure of psychological stability, a measure of poise and peace, by knowing how to fight the inner enemies. Sri Krishna says, we have got a lot of enemies within us. That our worst enemy is not any any human being, other human being or country. No, our worst enemy is our mind. Krishna says that it is the best friend and also the worst enemy possible, enemy possible. This psychological stability which we get from this fight reaction, it's not sufficient. It may break down under intense pressure. For some time it's fine, but when the pressure is more, the psychological stability won't withstand, it will break down. So we need stability on a higher plane. We need stability on the spiritual level. Searching for peace, happiness, and contentment in the world outside does not take us far, because we are trying to find happiness in the things which are not permanent, in fleeting things. So how can we get permanent happiness from that? They are there for a few days and they are gone. So how can we get permanent happiness from these fleeting things? We have to find our basis on the spirit within, the spirit which pervades everything within and without. Only by learning to go within and touch the source of all goodness, the source of all strength within us, can we face the problems that we have created. Nobody else has created those problems. We have created. Our mind has created all these problems. And for that, we have to go within and touch the source of energy and strength within us. We may be having everything that the world can offer. Money, success, fame, power. But that may not make life worthwhile and meaningful, because the factor which gives value to all these things are missing. And that is a spiritual basis. Unless we have the spiritual basis, it's a foundation. If it is not there, you may build a big building, but if the foundation is not strong, it will collapse. We may be building our life successful, earning a lot of accumulating wealth, material goods, name, fame, power, but the foundation is not there, base is not there. So after a few short time, it will collapse. And Sri Ramakrishna says, if you put a lot of zeros, put 100 zeros, will it give you any value to that? But you just add a digit 1 and then add all the zeros. The moment you put 1, then the zeros have got values. You put 1 0, it becomes 10, 2 zeros, 100. You remove that 1, it is just zeros, no value. So that one digit 1 is that spiritual basis that we have to give. Otherwise, all these things are meaningless, valueless. So we gain stability when we are conscious of the self within us. Now we are trying to find all our fulfillment in the external world, in the fleeting things, in the limited things. It is impossible, because in reality, we are that unlimited self. How can you find happiness in the limited things? The Upanishad says, the infinite is bliss. There is no bliss in the finite. The limited things, the finite things, there is no bliss. There, you will say, oh no, why we have got happiness? Okay, we have got happiness. As Swamiji says, happiness comes wearing the crown of misery. But in the infinite is bliss. Infinite, in the infinite alone is bliss. Bliss means unending joy, without any misery. In the Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna lists the characteristics of one with inner stability. He says in the 2nd chapter, he gives the characteristics of a person of inner stability or sthita prajna. First one is all the desires are given up and he or she rests in the self, satisfied in the self. When I say self, it's capital S. There is no need for external things for happiness. All the happiness comes from within that self. When you have the knowledge that I am that infinite Atman, then there is no more misery. All the happiness comes from that knowledge. And all the desires are given up. Because desires are always creating disturbance on the mind. As we always say, when the mind lake is disturbed, the surface of the mind lake is disturbed, we cannot see the real reflection of the self within. So we have the person of a steady character, Sthita Prajna, has given up all the desires and gain satisfaction in the self, knowing fully always that I am that infinite Atman. So that's Shri Krishna says, Prajahadi yada kaman sarvan parthamanvagadan. Always, all the desires are given completely. Then the mind does not waver at all. The mind is steady, like a flame in a windless spot. You keep a lamp here, because there is no wind, it's not flickering. If there is wind blowing, then the flame will be flickering. A person of steady wisdom, his or her mind will be steady, like the flame in a spot, windless spot, steady, always going towards that infinite Atman. The mind won't go this way or that way at all. Then another characteristic is not he or she is not perturbed by adversity, does not crave for happiness, free from attachment, fear, and anger. Not perturbed by any adversity. When adversities happen, problems come, difficulties come, they are looked upon as unavoidable things, but effectless if you ignore them. They are unavoidable. The problems will come. Problems, that is part of life. Problems will come, but they won't overwhelm you if you ignore them. Don't take it into too much into your heart. Look upon them, try to deal with them in the best way possible according to your understanding, and then move on. And it will be effectless to disturb the mind of a person of steady wisdom. Problems only disturb that mind. And that person is free from attachment, fear, and anger. As we always been saying, attachment is the cause of all the problems. So don't have any attachment. Or if you don't have attachment, how can I love people? Yeah, you have to love without attachment. That's the best way. Because if there is attachment, there will be always misery. It is attachment is causing all the problems, all the misery. Without attachment, you love. That's the best way. Then fear. Fear is worse than death. So Upanishad is always giving the message of fearlessness. Be fearless, be fearless. We have got all this fear because we identify ourselves with the body. Think, I'm the body. But if you leave that, get rid of that identification with the body and identify with your real self, that I'm the Atman, then we won't have any fear at all. Swami Vivekananda gives this story, many of you may be knowing already, about the sage and Alexander. Alexander, when he was conquering, he came towards India. He was told by his teacher that there are many wise people in India, sages there. So try to meet, if possible, with somebody. So Alexander sent out his commanders, soldiers, to find out a sage. And in the forest, they found a sage sitting there quietly. So the commanders went up to him and said, "Oh, the emperor would like to meet you. Please come." The sage said, "I'm not interested. I don't want to come." They tried to persuade him. He was not happy. He said, "No, I don't want to come." Then they went and reported to Alexander. Alexander himself came, met the sage, talked to him. He was very happy. He wanted to take him back to Greece. "You please come with me to Greece." "I don't want to go." It's the first time Alexander hearing no. "I'm the emperor of the known world, and you are telling me no." Then he said, if you don't come with me, I'm going to kill you." The sage burst out laughing. "You kill me. You may kill his body. How can you kill me? I'm that infinite Atman. How can you kill me?" So that knowledge gives us fearlessness, no fear at all. The fear is because of our identification with the body. Because of the identification, we think that the body, I get sick, I get my illness, I fall down and I get in an accident. Somebody may kill me. But how can anybody kill me? I'm that infinite Atman. That's why Sri Krishna in the Gita says, the one who thinks that he is killing and one who thinks he is killed, both don't know. Because nobody can kill the self. The self does not kill anybody. It's the body that is being killed, that's being destroyed. So the person of steady wisdom has no fear. And again, anger. He is free from anger also. Anger, when you are angry, you are not able to reason out properly. Anger destroys or robs us of our power of reasoning. So if free from all these three, we can evolve in the spiritual life. So the sage of steady wisdom is free from attachment, fear, and anger. And again, he is unattached everywhere, not getting happy or delighted when receiving good things, or dejected when getting evil. What about our condition? Say somebody says one bit of praise, oh, we are going to the top of the moon. And another word, somebody says fool, that's it, finish. We go down. We are swinging like the pendulum from one end to the other. The person of steady wisdom, oh, it doesn't matter. They are just words. Praise or blame, both are just, and what are words? Just sound waves. Doesn't affect at all. And another characteristic is, having reached that state of equilibrium, considers no other gain greater than that. Emladha chabaram labham manyade nathikam tataha. Having reached that stage of stability, inner stability, nothing is greater than that state. And esmin sthido na dukkhena gurunapi vichalyade. Having reached that, as being established in there, nothing can shake that person. Even the greatest of sorrow won't shake that person. Always the mind is steady, like the flame in a windless spot, not moving this way or that way. From one example, like two examples I have thought of telling you from life of Swami Vivekananda. Swamiji was in one of his lectures in America. He was saying how a person who has got control of his mind, whatever happens around won't disturb the mind. So one day when Swamiji was walking along, some young men, cowboys, they challenged him. So you say, because they have heard his lecture, you say that nothing will disturb you? Or now please give us a lecture. So they put a tub upside down and asked him to stand there. And he started talking about this, the control of mind, disciplining the mind and all that. After a few minutes, bullets started going past his ears, face, left and right. And he continued without a moment's hesitation. He continued what he was talking. After a few minutes, the cowboys, they said, "Wonderful, you are a good fellow." According to them, he has passed the test. Nothing disturbed his mind. To give another example, Swamiji was giving a lecture in London on Raj Yoga, the 8 steps of Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, 8 limbs of yoga. And during the lecture, after a few minutes, one of the audience at the back of the hall started interrupting him. They're wonderful, this, that, started heckling him. He ignored. And there were others were there, Sturdy, Swamiji's host. Then there was Goodwin, who was noting down Swamiji's lectures. Then there was Swami Sharadananda, who had recently gone to England, and Swami Vivekananda's younger brother. They were all there. And then another gentleman from US, Mr. Fox. And they were all getting irritated. But Swamiji continued quietly. This went on for quite some time. Then suddenly he stopped. This man was heckling so much, what you call Anglo-Indian. Swamiji stopped and then turned on him and gave him such a dressing down that they say he literally wept. His two kerchiefs went full. What the British did to India and the other parts of the world, he gave a big thing and tore him to pieces. And he was so upset, and he left the hall. Then, now let's continue with the Pratyahara. Without a moment hesitation, he came back calm, as though nothing has happened. And then the audience at the end of the class said, "Swamiji, we have never seen another person who is literally practicing what you are talking about. Control of the mind. No disturbance at all. The mind is perfectly calm." All this heckling, and his first Swamiji said about something about Buddha. And he said, "Oh, Buddha is not a great teacher. Jesus did all these things." And then he said, "Oh, I thought you are a Bengali Babu. I didn't know that you are from Madras." All this went on heckling him. And then at last Swamiji could not control and he put him down. After a moment, finishing, just back. Let's continue with Pratyahara. That's the 4th asana, pranayama, Pratyahara. Back to normal, nothing. That is steady, established in inner stability. There's nothing can disturb the peace of mind there. So this inner stability is a state of mind which can stick, if we can stick to high ideals and principles in spite of all the troubles that comes. Not that a person of inner stability won't have any troubles. He or she will have their share of problems. Everybody has got problems. Nobody can avoid problems in this life. They will have their share of problems, but they won't be affected by it. They will be able to sail through it without any much difficulty. It will be like water flowing under the bridge. Whatever, it will come to an end. Difficulties, oh, of course, they have, as Sri Krishna says, all these have a beginning and an end. They will come to an end. They will finish. It won't last forever. So they won't be affected by it. It will be like that the problems and difficulties, trials and tribulations will be like water on the lotus leaf. Those who have seen lotus leaf will know the water won't stick to it. The water will just flow out of it. Ordinary leaves get wet, but lotus leaf will never get wet. The problems and difficulties will be like water on the lotus leaf. As far as they are concerned, it will just flow off. But passing through these problems and difficulties, they come out stronger. We say fire ordeal. It's literally going through them. They become stronger and stronger and come out other end a strong person. That happens by facing this problem, not running away. Running away will never can solve the problem. They'll run after, they come behind you and catch up with you. Face them. We have to face the problems. Face the problem and try our best to find out a solution. So we may ask, why should I have inner stability? What's the need of inner stability? Well, if you don't want to be destroyed by the forces of life, then we need that. It's stability, inner calmness, save us from being destroyed by the forces. There are forces, external life and internal life. There are a lot of forces out there which are trying to destroy us all the time. Just as we said earlier, lust, greed, anger, they will take us on the slippery slope going down the slope. Sri Krishna in the Gita says, there are 3 gateways to hell. If anybody is interested to go to hell, there are three doors are there, 3 gateways are there, big gateways. And what are they? Kama, Krodha, and Lobha. Lust, anger, and greed. What is lust? Excessive desire. Shri Krishna said earlier that I am the desire which is unopposed to virtue. So desire is not we won't completely say desire is bad, but excessive desire is the gateway to hell. Then when the desire is unfulfilled, obstructed, turns to anger and greed. About this, how the desire can lead to destruction, Sri Krishna again in the Gita, he says step by step how it will lead. He says, Dhyayato Vishyan Pumsa Sangaste Shupajayate. Sangat Sanjayate Kama, Kamat Krodho Bhijayate. Krodhat Bhavati Sammoha, Sammohat Smriti Vibhrama. Smriti Pramshat Buddhi Nasho, Buddhi Nashat Pranashyati. Brooding over sense objects. We see many things, brooding over them, brooding over sense objects develops attachment. From attachment comes desire. From desire, anger. From anger comes delusion. From delusion, confusion of memory. From confused memory, ruin of reason. And due to ruin of reason, one perishes. We give you step by step how brooding over sense objects can lead us to complete ruin. Brooding over sense objects. Say, an example, you saw something on the shop window. You want to buy it. You think of it, oh, that's a really nice one. I would like to have that pendant. It's very beautiful. I would really love it. Brood over it, think about it, get attachment. Now you come home and tell or discuss at home that I want to buy. Or you don't have money. Or your partner says no. Then attachment turns to anger. When the desire came, you want to possess it. That desire is obstructed, turns to anger. From anger comes delusion. Now you don't know what you're going to do. From delusion comes confusion of memory. You have forgotten what you are, what you really are, and you may try to snatch it from the shop. Shoplifting. Because you have confused memory. Confused memory leads to ruin of reason. You can't reason out. And due to ruin of reason, one perishes. There is one incident mentioned by one of the Chinese sages, Zhuangzi. A carpenter. A carpenter, he worked, you do his work and just maintaining the family, but not very rich. Working hard, earning, somehow managing maintain the family. One day he was walking along the market and suddenly saw the jeweler's shop, something ornament. And he was so much overcome by greed that he just grabbed it and ran off. Therefore, the market is full of people. They ran behind him, caught him, took it to police. Now, Zhuangzi heard about it. So he went to the police station to this man and asked, why did you do that? Why did you steal this thing in front of all these people? You are sure that you catch them? Then he said, I didn't see anything else. I just saw only that ornament. Nothing else. All the people around, he didn't see. He saw only the ornament. His greed it became so much that he didn't see anything. Then Zhuangzi told this jeweler, see, his mind is diseased. He should be treated like any other sick person. So don't proceed with your case. And he was happy. He got it back and he said, that's it, fine. And then he slowly taught him how to overcome his greed. So what I'm going to say is this attachment gives to anger, and anger robs us of our power of discrimination, how to reason out. We forget what we are and do some silly things. All because of excessive desire. That's why Shri Krishna says, Kama, Krodha, and Lobha. Lust, anger, and greed are gateways to hell. They lead us to complete ruin. That is why detachment is so important. Detachment, as I always say, stress it. Detachment is not indifference. When you say, oh, no detachment, you are asking us to practice detachment, but what about my family, my friends? Of course, you can love. Nobody's asking you not to love your family and friends. You have to love your family and friends. Otherwise, you know better than the wall or a tree or a piece of stone. You have to love, but without attachment. That's the best form of love. Love with them without attachment. Now, how do we gain this inner stability? We can gain inner stability if we know that there is something immortal in us. There is something immortal in us which will give us a sense of security. Then we won't be shaken by the shocks that come from the world outside. And we need firm faith in the divine. Firm faith in the divine or the power, the presence of the divine within us. That we are the divine. We are infinite Atma, not the body. That firm faith, if it is there, then we will have the sense of security and we won't be shaken. In the end of Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna says, Nashto moha smridir labdha. All my delusion is gone and memory has come. Memory of what? Memory of his real nature. At present, we have forgotten our real nature. Not that we get something new from outside. We just remember what we really are. At present, we have forgotten our real nature. We think we are in a state of dream. We think we are this body with this particular name and form. I'm so and so with this address, all that. We have forgotten who we really are. We are acting a particular role. After some time, we may have to play another role. But we are so much identified with the role that we've forgotten our real nature. And we have to practice titiksha, as we said yesterday, forbearance. We have to go through the experiences of life. There'll be painful ones, there'll be pleasant ones, unpleasant ones. We have to gain ability to stand steady. That is by practicing titiksha. Titiksha or forbearance. And Shankaracharya explains it as bearing with all afflictions without caring to redress them. Being free at the same time from anxiety or lament over them. That is titiksha. We may be, if you don't bear without titiksha, externally or outwardly, we may see very calm. Somebody has, we are facing some problem, somebody has insulted us, we may be very calm, but inside we are brooding, going on, thinking about it. And the more you think about it, that impression becomes stronger and stronger. And then suddenly we may burst out one day. So that the painful situation or brooding over it won't help us. We cheerfully endure. That's the difference. As you asked this question yesterday, he said, no, we have to, titiksha is not just putting up with something, complaining, no, without any complaint, cheerfully endure, go through that. And try to forgive the person whoever has harmed you. Then the mind will remain undisturbed. We often say forget and forgive. Forget is not easy. You cannot forget. And the more you try to forget, that impression becomes stronger and stronger. But forgive you can forgive. We can think that that person either did not know the situation, had a different viewpoint, or he or she may have had a bad day. Why did it happen? Why did he react like that, or say like that, or did like that? Who knows what happened at home? With what sort of impression came to the office or workplace? We don't know. Maybe had a bad day at home. So if you think like that, then we won't be upset much. And Gita suggests certain methods for gaining this inner stability. The first one, have a clear theoretical understanding. Understand theoretically, intellectually. Only first you have to understand or hear about it, know about it intellectually, then only they can put it into practice, try to practice it. So have a clear understanding of the true nature of our being, what we really are. Then we try to practice it afterwards. Then second, another one is accept the inevitables. There are many things which you cannot avoid in life. Like getting old, getting diseases. You cannot avoid it. It's part of life. So things which are inevitable, you accept it. Of course, not that you are sitting quietly without doing anything. If you get sick, oh, Gayatriprana has said, accept the inevitable. I have got this illness. I have sit quietly. No, we have to take the steps what is there, but don't get upset. It's part of life. And endure the pairs of opposites. They are happiness and misery, happiness, success and failure. All will come. We cannot have success all through life. We cannot have happiness all through life. We cannot have praise all through life. Praise and blame come. Happiness and misery come. Success and failure come. So accept it. They are inevitable. Accept it and go through life. Just like heat and cold. These are pairs of opposite. These two all come under titiksha. bear without complaint. And another one, remember God and do your duty. Sri Krishna says, Mam Anusmara Yudhyaja. Remember me and fight. Fight the battle of life. Everybody has got a battle to fight. Arjuna speaks in the Gita, we see Arjuna fighting the Kauravas. But everybody has got, every single person got a battle to fight. With our inner world, outer world, we have got. But Shri Krishna says, Mam Anusmara Yudhyaja, remember me and fight. That is, do everything remembering God. Hold on to God with one hand. That's Sri Ramakrishna says. Hold on to God with one hand and do all your duties. They are not asking us to give up all the duties and think of God all the time. No. We are in the world. We have to do our duties. We have got responsibilities. But hold on to God with one hand and do all our duties. And when your duties are becoming less and less, then hold on to God with both hands. Or when you are able to hold on to God with both hands, that means you have got complete surrender. That's very hard to practice. That's practicing surrender. We say, oh, I surrender. Everything depends upon God's will. I do everything. It's God's will. Without practicing, all through or going through life, struggles of life, saying that I'm surrendering everything to God is just simply saying. If you really practice, then you find how hard it is. In the life of Sri Ramakrishna, we see Sri Ramakrishna asked Girish Chandra Ghosh, a household devotee, you said, you repeat the name of God morning and evening. He straight away said, no, I can't. I can't say, I won't be able to say that I will do, because he had one good quality. He was truthful, 100% truthful. So he said, no, I can't. Then repeat the name of God once in the evening or before you go to sleep. What's the guarantee where I will be sleeping, when I will be sleeping? No, I can't. Before you have your dinner? No, that I can't. He could not bear any kind of rule. He could not give himself to follow any kind of discipline. So he said, no, I can't. Then in the end, Sri Ramakrishna said, all right, then give me the power of attorney. You don't have to do anything. Oh, that's very easy. I don't have to do anything. All the spiritual practices for me, he will do. I don't have any problem. He said, yes. But then he realized how hard it is. Then after a few days, he was sitting in front of Sri Ramakrishna in the room, and somebody, the devotees were talking, and he said, I will do it. Immediately Sri Ramakrishna corrected. How can you say? You have to say, if God allows me. Slowly, he came to realize that every moment he had to remember God. If God allows, then I'll be able to do. If God permits, I'll be able to go there. If God permits, I'll be able to do this. Then later he said, if I had known how hard it is, I would not have done. I would have rather done the repetition of name. So hard. And then when his wife passed away, he said, I don't have even the freedom to weep. Because Sri Ramakrishna has left the body. Now, how can I ask him whether I can weep? So hard it is. So we say, oh, I surrender to God. It's not so easy. Saint Teresa of Avila says, surrender to God is so hard. Those who have tried to practice will know how hard it is. Saying is easy. Oh, I surrender everything to God. Everything I do by God's will. But practicing literally in the right form, it's very, very hard. Because that's the last stage. Once you are able to surrender that, you are completely overcome your identification with the body. Everything you are doing to God, your I is gone. Your I, that I do all these things. The sense of agency is completely gone. That is the final word in spiritual life. There are some other methods that we go through what Patanjali and also Dhammapada says about attaining inner stability. Patanjali says in the Yoga Sutras, undisturbed calmness of mind is attained by cultivating friendliness towards the happy, compassion for the unhappy, delight in the virtuous, and indifference towards the wicked. So to have undisturbed calmness of mind, that's in the mind is completely stable, by cultivating friendliness towards the happy. If somebody is happy, be happy in their happiness. What often happens is, if somebody is happy, then we are jealous. Why did that happen to? Why did that person got that good fortune? We become jealous. But take happiness in their happiness. Be happy in their happiness. Compassion for the unhappy. Some misery has befallen on some person. Feel compassion for that person. And what is our usual reaction? We say, well, he or she deserved it. We say that, well, deserved it. And then if somebody says, no, that person had done so many good things, it's not a right thing. It should not happen to that person. Then we may say, well, maybe, but we'll put a but. We are not going to give full credit to that person. We are happy that person is suffering. And when something happens to us, what do we say? Why did it happen to me? That means it's all right if it happened to other people, but it's not right the thing that happened to me. So, but we have to feel compassion for the other person. Delight in the virtuous. Somebody is virtuous, behaving in a very virtuous way. Take delight in that. Take inspiration from that person instead of getting irritated. That's what often our reaction, because we get irritated because compared to that person's behavior, we feel our shortcomings, our failings. Our failings are projected when we compare ourselves with that person, and we feel irritated. Instead, we feel we should take delight and try to emulate that person's behavior. And finally, indifference towards the wicked. Try to understand why that person has done that wicked deed or evil deed. And what role have I played in that? If somebody has done something bad to me, why did that person do that? And what did I play any action in or any role in that? Find out. And try to control our evil thought about that person or hatred up towards that person who has done the evil deed. Swami Vivekananda says, every reaction in the form of hatred or evil is so much loss to the mind. If we are having some evil thoughts, every reaction in the form of hatred or evil is so much loss to the mind. Our mind is lost. And every evil thought or deed of hatred or any thought of reaction, if it is controlled, will be laid up in our favor. If we can control them, then we gain. Each time we suppress hatred or the feeling of anger, it is so much good energy stored up in our favor. And that piece of energy will be converted into higher powers. So instead of somebody has done evil, we don't have to, what the usual reaction is, repay with the evil. No, you don't have to. We be indifferent. Just ignore it. That person may have some problem, as I said earlier. must have a bad day. Or somebody maybe didn't even have a sleep. Who knows? Something had happened, or I may have did something or said something which irritated that person. Try to understand like that. And then the doubt may come, if the evil, if somebody is doing evil, shouldn't we feel compassion for that and try to help that person to become virtuous, to turn to the path of virtue? If we know that the person is wicked or doing evil deeds, shouldn't we try to help them and take them on the virtuous path? It's all good to say that, but are we strong enough for that? Spiritually enlightened teachers may be able to do that. Feel compassion for them and help them, lift them up. But we ordinary spiritual seekers, we are not strong enough to pull them up. Instead, we may be pulled down. To help somebody, we have to be strong. If somebody has fallen down and I'm trying to pull the person up, I have to be strong. If I am not strong, I'm trying to lift the person up, I may fall down. So that is why Patanjali says indifference. We can, from a distance, we can pray for that person. And again, if we show sympathy, perhaps that may encourage the person in the wicked behavior. So keep away and be indifferent. You can pray for them from a distance. As Sri Ramakrishna says, there is presence of God is present in the tiger also, but that doesn't mean that you go and hug the tiger or salute the tiger. Why God is present? No, you keep the distance. You keep your distance from the tiger. Again, the Dhammapada says some means to attain inner stability. Hold on to truth. One who holds on to truth becomes indestructible like truth itself. Nobody can destroy truth. And the person who holds on to truth becomes indestructible like truth itself. Then be ready to do everything required to realize the truth. Whatever is needed. It won't be easy. Holding on to truth is very, very difficult in our day-to-day life. Every situation will come where you have to compromise with truth or even outright go against truth. But if you want to progress in spiritual life, if you want to attain this state of inner stability, we have to be ready to whatever is needed to hold on to truth. Maybe we have to sacrifice a lot, must be ready for sacrifice. Then practice self-control and endurance and discrimination. Just as we said earlier, titiksha. Thus, if you go on practicing all these things, integrating our thinking, feeling, and willing, as Sri Ramakrishna says, man mukh ek karo. Your think, your speech and thought must be unified. Whatever you think, you speak. If you think something and express something else, that won't do. So integration of our thinking, feeling, and willing and our ego will gradually lead to inner stability. And try to keep the ideal in front of us. Remember that we are the infinite Atman, and also try to overcome the enemies, inner enemies. The three great gateways to hell: lust, anger, greed. Then we will be able to reach that stage, not in a day's time. It's life's work. But even a little bit of progress in the path is a gain. Nothing is lost. Even if you make an attempt to practice what Sri Krishna says in the Gita as the characteristic of a person of steady wisdom. That's a goal, and that's also what we had to practice. What characteristics he has given as the persons of steady wisdom that we try to practice. And trying to practice those characteristics, we may not be successful all the time, but every attempt at practicing it is a step forward. And again, Sri Krishna says, Swalpam apyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Even a little bit of this practice saves you from great fear. So we don't have to get disheartened or think that, oh, this goal is so great, far away. I don't think I'll be able to reach that. No, the goal may be far away, but that doesn't mean that I won't strive for that. I'll go forward. I'll try. Every bit of attempt is a step forward. So with steadiness, purity, and patience, we practice. Being impatient, oh, I have been practicing all these things, whatever the Gita says, whatever the teachers say, but nothing has happened to me. Immediately you don't realize. If you look at the child, if the baby tomorrow, do you see any difference in the baby growth? If you want the baby to be a fully grown up person in 2 days' time or weeks' time, it doesn't happen. It takes time. It takes years. So in the same way, but every day it's growing. Every day we are growing on a spiritual path. But we will see the difference only when we look back. I remember in Sydney, a person, her wife got cancer, and she had operation, chemotherapy and all that. When one day we went to see them, and the husband said, if it had happened 10 years ago, I would be shivering and weeping. But now that we have got this, come to Vedanta, got this great strength from Sri Ramakrishna, I can take it. Just looked at it as, what is to be done, we'll do. Go to the doctor, see then what they say, do it. Not getting real upset and overwhelmed by fear and anxiety. So that is why Sri Krishna says, Swalpam apyasya dharmasya trayate mahodav bhayat. Even a little bit of this will save you from great fear. So we progress, we practice, we go forward, maybe little by little, doesn't matter. We may be taking baby steps. That's fine. Thank you.
So we'll have a break for afternoon tea. And just to let you know, we've got a donation bowl there in front of the shrine to bring these visiting nuns to Adelaide. There are charges associated with that, the airfares and so on. So we always appreciate some donation. And we've kept a range of Vedanta and Vedanta-related books on our table over there. They're for sale, including 2 books that are quite notable. For those of you who have been attending for long enough to the Vedanta activities, you all know about Pravrajika Gayatriprana Mataji, who used to come here for so many visits over the years. So one book was brought out recently, a few years ago, Reminiscences by monastics and disciples of Mataji, including many from Australia and some from India. So any of you especially who knew Mataji, this is a very special book. The other one, Vedanta in Practice, it's a transcription of some of Mataji's talks, very, very practical approach to Vedanta, how to incorporate it into your life. And so it's talks she gave in Malaysia, in fact, and a few in India. So there are a few copies of each are over on the table there. So now we'll have the afternoon tea, and please come and join us after that for question and answer sessions.
I got my friend today. She's not for the first time. And she was